Hey everyone, thanks for joining us again on Count Me In. I am Mitch Rochong, and my co host is Adam Larson. Our guest for today's episode is Ben Wann. Ben is a CMA, MBA, and CPA, and is currently pursuing his CSCA specialty credential. He is an operational finance leader and a finance business partner who came to talk to us at IMA about the future of finance. Adam, you interviewed Ben for this episode. Give us a quick preview of what Ben shared.
Ben is a passionate leader, dedicated to process improvement, finding dynamic solutions, and is constantly working to learn and improve his own skill sets. In our conversation, Ben explains what it means to be a true business partner and talks about how these strategic leaders can champion change for the finance function of their organizations. He is all about opportunity and growth, and I think he will give our listeners a lot of actionable insight. So, now let's hear Ben Wann's perspective on the future of finance. What is finance business partnering and why should we care?
Finance business partnering, it's the mindset that an accountant professional doesn't just do accounting. We're not just reporting the month-end numbers and looking back. We're integrated with the business and we're creating value and an active partnership with the operation side, supply chain management. We're growing and adding value wherever we can.
I recently saw that you wrote an article entitled "Business is Soccer" to help explain this philosophy. Could you maybe
Sure.
give a high-level overview of your analogy?
Yeah, I had fun writing this one. So the analogy that I used is that for most of the time that accountants have been around, we've been in the goalkeeper position, right? We're making sure nothing gets past us. And in my analogy, I referred to, reporting mistakes and all sorts of data issues that we're constantly trying to monitor. But now with different technology, we have the opportunity to play a different position on the team, and that's the midfielder. And my main argument in the article is that finance is now the midfielder, and that's a position that can fluidly move from defense to offense. So they're making sure the business's numbers are sound, and then they're moving forward and helping to create some winning opportunities and some goals by providing the right insights at the right time.
I think that's a great analogy. So in line with that, what's some advice that you would have for somebody who wanted to champion the change in the finance area? They wanted to go from the goalie to the midfielder.
That's a question a lot of people are asking. I think that the big thing that you have to do is start to increase what I call your orbit of awareness. So you have to go out there and read about what other finance business partners are doing so that you know what you have to do. A lot of times it's too easy for us to put our heads down and get siloed. But if you look around, you can find out what other people are doing to advance themselves. Sometimes it's taking leadership training courses, learning how to build your influence. Sometimes it's becoming more technically strong, but there's a lot of people who've done it already, and just knowing who to talk to, who's been in a similar situation as you are now, that's a great place to start.
There's another article, don't ask permission if you want to change the world. There's a particular line that sticks out to me, but, one that I'll mention in a moment, but, I was hoping you could explain what was your ending message in that article?
The ending message for me for this article is that you can't wait for opportunity. If you want to advance in accounting, if an opportunity doesn't knock, build the door. I guess the overall premise too is, don't ask permission to make a change that makes sense. And I've kind of built my career around this, and I've had a lot of success around it. So that's why I'm advocating for this message for other professionals who are looking to grow and advance in their own careers.
That's great. And, a particular line I wanted to kind of point out was, the problem here is that my colleagues saw roadblocks instead of opportunities. Could you maybe comment on that a little bit?
Yeah. It's too easy to get stuck, right? So I went to my colleague, I had a few suggestions on how she had this one report where it was done weekly. So we had 52 separate weeks of reports instead of one big report that's more comprehensive, and what she got held up on is that she didn't think she had the ability to make these changes. I don't know if she didn't know she had the technical ability or it was outside the scope of her work. But yeah, so it takes some time to work through these things. But I would suggest just trying and getting some feedback from maybe your manager, your peers to see if something's working. That's the best way to start seeing roadblocks as opportunity.
So what do you think is on the horizon for the future of finance?
For me, I have been, in my career, I've seen the same companies struggle with the same problem. And I think that we're getting closer to a solution. And the big problem for many organizations is that we spend way too much time trying to get the data out of the system and provide some sort of analysis. Usually when we're done, it's taking too much time and it's not comprehensive or timely enough to solve the problems of the business and answer the main questions. And what technology is doing now is it's providing a lot of low cost and then what's called low code, no code solutions that is really going to be key to putting the tools into more hands. The democratization of data is a term that's been going around. So more people are being able to access the data and it's easier. You can't break the system. So I think that's going to be a huge thing. If finance wants to move forward, that we take these steps sequentially, right? We stop spending 70% of our time doing non-value added activities and we get the building blocks in place.
So what advice would you give to somebody, who's let's say they're, the higher ups in the company are chasing whatever the flavor of the month is, whether it's blockchain or AI or whatever that key term is that they're jumping on and saying you have to do. What advice would you give to the people who are actually doing the work to say, hey, how do you help them slow their horses or get them to realize that maybe we shouldn't jump in so quickly?
That's also a good question. I think the key is that the finance leaders need to talk to their teams to see how they're spending their time and to understand what they need to be able to do their jobs better. A lot of times, these employee engagement surveys show that when employees have the right tools in their hands, they're more confident that they can do the job at hand. And I think if employers talk to their employees, they would see that these things are critical and they'd be really a value add to the business. And that'd be my suggestion. Talk to your team, see what they need, and help them get the tools to do the job more effectively.
This has been Count Me In, IMA's podcast, providing you with the latest perspectives of thought leaders from the accounting and finance profession. If you like what you heard and you'd like to be counted in for more relevant accounting and finance education, visit IMA's website at www.imanet.org.